Hello everyone, I welcome you all in next lecture. In last lecture what we have discussed is about lateral strain and the Poisson's ratio, and today with this lecture we will go through some numerical regarding the same. So the statement of the numerical is something like this. During tensile test, a 20 mm diameter bar at a particular time is applied to a tensile force of 120 kN. So a tension test is conducted, the diameter of the bar is 20 mm and at a particular time the tensile force applied is 120 kN. Initial length of bar was 400 mm and elongation was observed as 0.728 mm. Find the modulus of elasticity of the material of the bar and also find the change in diameter if the Poisson's ratio is 0.3. So Poisson's ratio is given and modulus of elasticity is asked to calculate. So how we'll go for the solution of this? So you are aware that stress is load divided by area. So value of force at that particular time is given as 120 kilonewton, that is converted into newtons, and the diameter of the bar was given. So pi by 4 20 square is area. So this calculation gives you 381.97 as force is converted into newton, and this is in mm square. This is newton per mm square is stress. So further, strain, that is longitudinal strain, is delta L divided by L. So change in length at that particular point is observed to be 0.728, and original length or initial length of the bar is 400 mm. So this ratio is 1.82 into 10 to the power minus 3. So with this you can calculate, if now this is known, sigma is known and epsilon is known. So Young's modulus is capital E equal to sigma divided by epsilon. So just you can calculate this and it gives you 210 into 10 to the power 3 Newton per mm square, or you can write it to be 210 MPa, or what in units you want to write it. So everything over here was used in Newton and mm. So this is Newton per mm square. Lateral strain. So what we have discussed in earlier lecture was lateral strain is equal to minus mu times epsilon, or minus mu times sigma divided by E. So now sigma is calculated and capital E is calculated. So you can calculate it that mu is given, that is 0.3 Poisson's ratio, and with this you can calculate lateral strain. So lateral strain is 5.457 into 10 to the power minus 4, and lateral strain is related to what change in dimension is taking place in other direction about which the force is applied. Okay, so if tension test is taking place, so the length is getting increased and diameter will be getting decreased. So lateral strain is delta D divided by D. So delta D will be change in diameter. So original diameter is given 20 mm and lateral strain is obtained by this calculation. So that was 5.457 into 10 to the power minus 4. So if we calculate this, it will give you a change in diameter as 0.011 millimeter. So this is change in diameter or decrease in diameter when force is applied. So this is the numerical what we wanted to discuss regarding that Poisson's ratio and lateral strain. And this discussion whatsoever we have done is for uniaxial or only forces along some axis. Okay, so it may be two-dimensional or three-dimensional, and we will be discussing it afterwards in next lectures. So with this numerical, again we will go through one more numerical. So this is the diagram given and this is the statement of the numerical. So determine the total compression of the bar made up of 3 circular cross sections as shown in the figure 7. So in this figure, the diameter being 10 mm, 20 mm and 30 mm at top, middle and bottom. So at top the diameter is 10 mm, bottom it is 30 mm and in between middle part it is 20 mm, and the length of top is 30 mm, the middle is 20 mm and the bottom is 40 mm. And what is given is the top material is steel, the middle material is brass and the bottom material is copper. So Young's modulus of each material is different. So ES is given to be 210 for steel, for brass it is given as 105 and for copper it is given as 100 gigapascal. So it is asked to find the total compression if 50 kilonewton force is applied over here. So if this is supported at this level, so you will be having some reaction opposite to this applied force. So this complete structure is subjected to axial compression along this axis. So what can be written? Now you are knowing that delta L is equal to PL over AE. So now what is changing? The force is same, 50 kilonewton. If I am considering this segment, that will be 50 kilonewton compression. For this segment again, that will be 50 kilonewton compression. For third segment again, that will be 50 kilonewton compression. So P is same throughout. And what is changing? Length is changing, area of cross section is changing because diameter is different, and Young's modulus is changing because material is different. So for various segments, this equation can be modified as delta L1 plus delta L2 plus delta L3, and for each material the force is same, P is taken out from PL over AE. So this will become P1 L1 divided by A1 E1. So P is same, so it is taken out, and what is remaining is L1 divided by A1 E1, or for steel it is written as LS divided by AS ES, plus now again P will be over here for brass, so that is same taken out, and over here the remaining is length of brass divided by area of brass and Young's modulus of brass. Similarly for copper, LC divided by AC EC. So what it gives? Delta L is equal to, now for each area of cross section, this is circular cross section as it is given. So diameter is given, so area will be pi by 4 d square. Pi by 4 is common, taken out, so pi by 4 is written over here, and force for all material is same, 50 into 10 to the power 3. So 50 kilonewton is given, converted into Newton. And then what is remaining inside is L divided by A. For steel, length is 30, diameter is 10, so pi by 4 d square. So 10 square into its Young's modulus, 210, and it is converted into Newton per mm square. Similarly, for the second material, brass, its length is over here, it is 20 mm. So this is 20 divided by its diameter 20 square, pi by 4 d square, into its Young's modulus 105 GPa that was given. So it is converted again into Newton per mm square. And then further what can be done is the third part, 40 mm length and diameter is 30 mm. So 30 square into its Young's modulus is given as 100. So if we calculate it, what we can get is for this calculation, pi by 4 into 50 into 10 to the power 3. So 4 is taken up. So this gives you 63.662 into 10 to the power 3. So this calculation is something like this, and this is to be multiplied by this complete sum. So for this first part, for steel, its value comes 1.43 into 10 to the power minus 6. For the second part, that brass, it comes out to be 4.76 into 10 to the power minus 7. And for copper, it gives, for over here, it gives 4.44 into 10 to the power minus 7. So if you sum it together and multiply it with this, then what we'll get is this sum of this is 2.35 into 10 to the power minus 6, and this multiplication gives you 0.15 mm. So with this total structure for this particular force applied, if the material is different, so total change in length is 0.15 mm. Now if it is asked that what is the change in length of steel, what is change in length of brass, what is change in length of copper, so what you can do is just calculate this thing. So this value is calculated and multiply it with this value. So then it will give you the change in length of steel. If it is asked to find what is change in length of brass, then the second part of this LB upon EB multiplied with P. So this will give you that value. So these three values you can calculate separately, and you can write that answer, and again you can add it together to give you the total change in length. So that way also it can be asked. So with this numerical, what we have discussed up till now is stress sigma is equal to load divided by area, that is P divided by A. Then longitudinal strain is epsilon delta L by L, and then we have discussed about Young's modulus, and then we have discussed about lateral strain and Poisson's ratio. So with this we will go further with some new concept, how to go for analysis of statically indeterminate systems. So what we understand by indeterminate system is when a system comprises two or more members of different materials, the forces in various members cannot be determined by the principle of static equilibrium alone. So if the forces or the internal stresses, if it cannot be calculated by using static equilibrium equations, then the structure is called as statically indeterminate structure. Such systems are known as statically indeterminate systems, and additional equations other than or supplementary to the equations of static equilibrium are required to find the unknown forces. So some additional equations other than the equations of static equilibrium are necessary for further analysis of that particular structure. Generally, these additional equations are obtained from deformation conditions of the system and are referred as compatibility equations or compatibility conditions. So if we observe what is happening to the structure due to the applied force and what kind of deformation is taking place, depending on the deformation and depending on the supporting system, we can write some equations which are called as compatibility equations or compatibility conditions. Try to understand with these diagrams. Say for example, this is a column, or this is a column, circular column or square or rectangular column. Now what will be there in column? We will be having two materials, one will be concrete and another will be steel reinforcement. So now the force applied on the material will be same, and the deformation or deflection of both material will be same, but the force applied is equal to P. Some part of this force will be taken up by concrete and some part of this total force P will be taken up by the another material. Or for example, over here, suppose this is a bar and bar is embedded into this pipe and this is acting together and force is applied over here. So out of this total force P, some will be taken up by this material, let us say material 2, and some will be taken up over here by material 1. And then how to go for analysis of it is, while analyzing such structures, in addition to equations of equilibrium, following two equations can be used. So first equation is total load must be equal to load carried by individual materials. So like what we have discussed is, if this is column and column is constructed by concrete and reinforcement steel, then total force will be taken up by concrete and steel together. So total load must be equal to load carried out by say concrete and load carried out by steel. So what can be written? If say n number of materials are there together, then total force P must be equal to P1 plus P2 plus P3 whatever is taken by that particular material. And by compatibility equation, the deformation of the different materials will be same. So what is meaning of that? If you consider this column, whatever deformation of concrete is taking place, same deformation of steel reinforcement will take place. Okay, so deformation of different materials will be same. So now you are knowing that delta L is equal to PL over E for a particular material. Then if total force P, out of that, if P1 is taken by material 1 and now length is same over here, if you consider this diagram, length of both material is same, or over here in case of column, the length of concrete cross section and length of steel reinforcement will be same. So length is same, but area of cross section of that material will be different and Young's modulus of that material will be different. So it will become P1L divided by A1E1, and as change in length of both materials is same, what can be written is P1L divided by A1E1 is equal to P2L divided by A2E2. So what can be written further is delta L is equal to, now length is same, so length is not written over here in this equation. So what can be written is delta L is equal to P1 divided by A1E1 is change in length of first material. Second material's change in length will be same. So delta L is equal to P2 divided by A2E2. So what can be written with this equation? Now if we take A1E1 on this side, what can be written? P1 will be equal to P2 into A1E1 divided by A2E2. Okay. So with this discussion, we will conclude this lecture. I am thankful to you all. Thank you.